the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Archie, can we get a roll call, please?
That John.
Here.
Jerry.
Here.
Justin.
Here.
Lexi. Here. Brian.
Here. Thank you. I'd like to make a couple of adjustments to the agenda, moving 5B, swearing in of Officer Gibson to write about the citizen comment, and then items 9I and J right after the consent agenda, and then I would need to go on that agenda.
Make the motion to approve the agenda.
Brian, aye.
Lexi, aye.
Justin, aye.
Carries. And move us to B, 5B, Mike.
Yeah, so I'd like to make a recommendation to hire Mitchell Gibson for our police department position that we have. Mitchell has 7.5 years of law enforcement experience. He's currently at Gothenburg Police Department. He's been there approximately 2 years, correct? Okay, and he did work for other agencies. He worked for Blackhawk and UNI Police Department before coming over to Eastern Iowa to settle with family over here. He's got a ton of certifications, pepper spray instructor, crisis intervention team instructor, taser instructor, A-RIDE certification. That's A-RIDE OWI certification. He's just got a ton of certifications. He's gonna be a great fit for us, and he would be my recommendation to have us join our team.
Brian, aye.
Lexi, aye.
Justin, aye.
Motion carries.
And then at that time, I'd like to bring him up for a swearing in. All right. Raise your right hand. I state your name. I, Mitchell Gibson, do solemnly swear that I support the Constitution of the United States. Do solemnly swear that I support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa and the Constitution of the State of Iowa. And that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability, discharge all the duties of a police officer. Discharge all the duties of a police officer. As now or hereafter required by law. As now or hereafter required by law. Congratulations.
Thanks for coming. So where you guys going? We'll open it up for citizen comment concerning the agenda for this evening. Like to address the council. We'll close citizen comment then at this time. Move on to the consent agenda.
I have a question about the group implement. Is this something that I had an issue with our tax rates? Is this something that? Something that always, is it? So what's the issue with tax rates?
This is really unusual. It's got kind of like a double frontage lot. What would you say? Yeah, so really, it's not defined in the preliminary and final plat that says you can't have both of those entrances.
That's what probably was on tax rate.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to consent agenda.
Brian, aye.
Lexi, aye.
Justin, aye.
Motion carries. We move on to
Steve Thompson.
Steve Thompson, items I and J, administration.
Any place you want me to stand, or do I just need to use my teacher voice from over here?
I don't know how good I am.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
First item was the change order for the PCC project, and I should say Jacob had something come up, he was going to be here, but you have to settle for me. Change order in the amount of $5,447.94. Two items, the lion's share of it is some roof membrane as it relates to solar panels on the roof that was not anticipated up there. Second one is a changing of some door frames to a more secure solid door frame, which is probably more appropriate for the location that these would be in. We recommend approval of this change order.
Steve, are these door frames going, like one of the things that separates part of the facility from the other?
It was, I don't know exactly where it's at. It was a place where they wanted a solid metal door frame just for more security purposes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the change order.
I'll second the motion. Brian, aye.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
Jerry, aye. Motion carries.
The next item was on the lift station project. It's recommended final acceptance of the project. Everything was done to our satisfaction. I will take this time to point out, because this doesn't happen very often, or as often as it probably would like. This project did come in under budget. It was bid under budget, and then further came in even under the bid amount. It's commend Dean and his staff, Jacob and our team to work and identify those opportunities to have a savings. So it's not often we all get to take a victory lap when the project comes under, so I want to make sure we put a spotlight on that. So our recommendation would be to approve the project and close the project out.
I'll make a motion to approve certification of completion for the highway lift station.
I'll second.
Brian, aye.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
Jerry, aye.
Thank you, Mayor, for moving me up. I'll ask if there are any other agenda items on here you'd like to stay for. All right, thanks all. Have a great night. Appreciate it.
That'll bring us to 3 fiscal year 24 budget. Open a public hearing for fiscal year 24 budget announcement property tax dollars. To speak on that. Go ahead and close the public hearing. Move on to the resolution approving fiscal year 24 budget maximum property tax dollars.
Make a motion to approve the resolution on the maximum tax dollars as registered for fiscal year 24. Brian, aye.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
Motion carries. And also a public hearing for the date for the fiscal year 24 budget.
We recommend that be set on April 25th.
I'll make a motion to set the public hearing on fiscal 24 budget.
I second it.
Brian, aye.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
Jerry, motion carries. Thank you. Move on Parks and Rec, update from Stacy. Oh, Stacy.
If you guys have questions on anything.
How's the stage looking? Haven't asked for a while. Any disruptions that you've seen in your area from what's happening with the city hall?
Not big disruptions. There's a couple of things we're still trying to work through from the water we turned off earlier this week Monday. Trying to figure out if that was the cause of the solution for our ice machine not working. So just little things like that. But as far as numbers and usage and all that kind of stuff. So far, so good. Just kind of ask the contractors every time I see them, the most notice I can get in advance, so I can let people know the better. And so far, everyone's been very understanding. So yeah, so far, so good.
Awesome. I appreciate a couple of the new pieces of equipment.
We've heard a
Seen
ton,
people using them.
yeah, a ton of compliments on the new stuff that we did get. Just a couple of adjustments to pieces that we had that we replaced that were old. So yeah, no, we've had a lot of compliments on, or a lot of compliments on.
Rule of thumb as far as doing this.
One weekend is what I would tell.
How long will that be?
I don't know that we have. Usually Iowa games we do. I was gonna say, yeah, if it is, it's one or two. Iowa games is the one exception we always make. And then, it is possible like to close the back gym, like at the same time, so like Saturday all gyms are closed, Sunday just the back gym, it's closed, you can't reserve.
That's only used to.
Correct, but yeah, no, as far as doing both days, very, very rarely. We have had a lot more tournaments, in April, I mean, the Packer had before, which is different with the new things. I mean, we got NFL basketball for the last weekend, and then we have pickleball next weekend, so different things, which I think is great, but it's definitely more than there has been. in past years.
Any other questions for Stacy?
The other thing I want to put out, we do have an online store going on right now for kiosk baseball, softball, and t-ball apparel. Nothing I've ever done before. We've had a couple requests, so we decided to test it out. It's been open a little over a week so far, and the company I work with has already done way over what they expected. So,
Awesome.
so we'll get a small portion, it's nothing for shattering, but a little addition.
All right, thanks, Jason. Chief will come back to you to finish up your.
And you guys have my number report in front of you. The big thing was what you just said, so any other questions?
Any questions for the chief? Thanks, Chief. Public Works, Dean?
Questions or concerns on anything on the report or outside the report?
What do you want to do with the weather?
Thank you. I wish I could take credit. I've never noticed.
You like what you're doing with the weather. I figure that's Public Works, right?
Absolutely.
It's done plowing, that's right.
Can you give us an update on the Peter line project?
Yes, absolutely. I was gonna leave to that, after. If anybody had any questions, but yes, Chick-fil-A down there, they actually did the, directional drill on Friday. So they're actually tied into the new part of the lift station with that. Today, they actually set the one manhole that is getting replaced, throughout the remainder of this week. I would assume that a good portion of all of the piping will be in ground installed. So it might be a matter of just backfilling next week to finish up the project. In addition to that, I just want to add that I had some conversations today with Norm with NICC. They will be doing some burning up here, weather permitting, when the winds die down, just so everybody's aware of that. It is going to be controlled. It's going to be done by some gentleman from Pheasants Forever. So if anybody sees any action, that sort of thing, that's not necessarily the whole prairie land, but spots throughout.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, but they'll let her call and dispatch and all, and yeah, they're supposed to be letting us know. It's going to be depending on the winds.
One of these science books training, so especially kids go back to the ponds and fish.
I don't know. I'm sure they will have, staffing of theirs
throughout the areas that we're going to run from the smoke or the fire. They said, it's possibly going to be this week or next week. That's what the goal is, to get it, within that time frame. So, and it's going to be, depending on the winds. Obviously, today was the way. And then just one last thing, I don't know if anybody noticed, but we did get the install of grab stores down at the fire station done last week. So, another project that we checked out. That's great. I guess one other thing to add to Stacy's pickleball would be I talked to Kleesner Striping Painting, and the tennis courts at the fire station is going to get ready for pickleball.
He's looking at either today or tomorrow at the same time, or it's hoping at the same time he's going to paint the lines up, Community Center Parkway. We're handicap road when the front entrance closes and must use the double entrance. So hopefully it's open. He comes to do it either today or tomorrow or Thursday, sorry.
So yeah, if anybody's, concerned or questioning why the net's not up yet, that's what we're dragging our feet on that. Painting it's not straight.
And that's not dependent on the wind.
That is not- at least I don't.
And then how you think? Thanks,
That's
Dean.
all I got. Somebody else got something for me.
Well, I've got nothing to report, so I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's what I'm gonna do. Moving on to Parliament, the resolution setting a public hearing for the rezone of application for the Thunder Valley 1, lots 1 and 2, going to lots 37, 38, and 39.
This was a replat requested so that you could build duplexes, and the current zoning does not allow for that. So therefore, we have to hold a public hearing. Yes, sir.
Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
Motion carries. Moving on. Review of financial plan for general obligation bond series 2022A Heidi Pool. Heidi, are you there?
I am here.
Here you are.
Can everyone hear me okay on the audio? Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Heidi Cool with Northland Securities. There's 4 or 5 items, we've got about 4 or 5 items on the agenda tonight. First of all, I would want to talk through the financial plan for the upcoming borrowing that the city has some hearings. And if you have that finance plan that's attached to the council packet, I'm going to start at the beginning of that and feel free to interject at any time if you have questions. Really tonight is to kind of give you the bond 101, what we're financing and how that'll look. So the hearings for later tonight is for a total bond issuance of $3.8 million. That's to finance the turn lane project, the dump truck, there's a feeder line, a traffic study, land purchase for the turn lane project, as well as the community center project. Will total that $3.8 million financing. It's expected that this is a general obligation of the city, meaning that it will be backed by the full-fledged taxing authority of the city. A portion of this will be paid back with TIF dollars, and a portion of it will be paid back on the debt service levy. I'm bonds being paid off semi-annually, just like your other bonds that you did back in 2021. Interest is paid in June. So we'll have those payments and it'll go through 2037. I have an estimated interest rate on the bonds right now of 3.83%. And then, and that is based off of the tax exempt status of the bonds and bank qualified debt, assuming that the city will be issuing less than $10 million in debt for calendar year 2023. These bonds will have a locked-in interest rate until June 1st of 2031, meaning that your payments and structure will be locked in until that date. After that date, the city will have the flexibility to either refinance or pay off the bonds early after that date. The reason that we have a call period and a period of the rates being locked in is that investors want to have a guaranteed return on their investment before cities can pay them off or refinance them. I can shorten that date or extend that date, but then you start seeing changes in that interest rate. Piasta will be applying for its first credit rating that'll be associated with this bonds. In the past few years, the city has been regularly doing audits and increasing its general fund, whereas it's come from a small city to a mid-sized city where a bond rating makes sense for the city. It will lower the city's interest rate. A bond rating, it'll be through S&P. I like to refer to it as like a credit score for the city. So we're looking forward to the
Later this month.
meeting in a few weeks. After tonight's items, it's looking that council will be, what was that, Annette? We're looking at taking through these steps and locking in interest rates in May, on May 9th, and dated by June 7th, so you'll have funds in place. Page 2 goes over the how much will be borrowed, how much will be split in between TIF and debt service. Of the 3.8 million, 2.8 million will be paid back by TIF, and 1 million will be paid back by debt service levy. These bonds will be offered into the bond market, and they will be offered to the local banks within the city and Midwest in the public market. The other pages have the next few calendar of events. Page 4 has the estimated debt schedule and current interest rates that I am anticipating. That's a really quick, brief overview, but I wanted to kind of give the council a quick but informative update of what the city is preparing to finance, how much, and the timetable that we're looking at.
Have any questions of Heidi? I'll ask one.
Heidi, can you hear me? It's Brian Schatz. So you're saying the coupon rates and things in that schedule on page 4 are locked in through June of 31, and after that?
Yes.
Okay.
So The interest rate will be locked in. We haven't gone into the bond market yet. You have to go through the hearings and the rating process. So it will be subject to market rate changes until that May 9th date. But when we bring that proposal to you on the May 9th date, you will have those interest rates locked in. It'll be a fixed rate. And even after that call date, the payment schedule and the rates do not change unless it benefits the city. And the city, and the city initiates that after the.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Heidi? I don't think
Yes.
I don't think we have any other questions.
Well, I either explained it very well or went over it too quickly. So I hope it was the first.
Heidi, do you want to hang on the line until we get to the next 4?
Yes, I will be here and I can help explain and walk through the next 4 items as well.
Okay.
So we will open the public hearing on proposal to enter into an essential purpose loan agreement. We'll close the public hearing at this time. Enter into the public hearing on proposal to enter into an urban renewal agreement. We'll close the urban renewal public hearing. Moving on to resolution taking additional action on proposal to enter into general obligation loan agreements, combining loan agreements, authorizing the use of a preliminary official statement providing for the levy of taxes to pay general obligation corporate purpose bonds series 2023A. Any questions on this? Need a motion to approve?
Make a motion, approve the resolution taking additional action on proposal to enter into the general obligation loan agreements. Combining loan agreements, authorizing the use of preliminary official statement and providing for the levy of taxes to pay on general obligation corporate purpose bonds 2023.
I'll second.
Brian, aye.
Lexi, I.
Justin, aye.
Jerry, aye. Motion carries. Resolution. Amendment of voting code ordinance.
Planning and zoning met yesterday, last night, and reviewed multiple changes to the zoning ordinance. So in order to move forward with that process, there has to be a public hearing scheduled. And I would recommend that that public hearing be scheduled April 25th.
So I able to speak on. Not at this time. This is just open, this is the public hearing, so.
Yep, the only, when would I be able to speak on? The only reason that what I'm after is a lot of this stuff is done behind closed doors. And this is a major impact of what we have. And we were not part of any discussion, any direction of why I have no reason, I have no information why this is being done. Not one person from the city has explained this. So I guess I'm requesting a work session before the 25th.
I guess to what end, I'm gonna ask that before we schedule another work session.
When you say to what end,
Yeah,
okay, so this is a big impact to us, major impact. I mean, this is thousands of dollars, we've got hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we don't even know why you're doing it. We don't even have a discussion of what the theory of this is. And maybe if we knew what it was, maybe we'd understand it.
the simple theory is that the citizens of Castle are not interested in having 1724 apartment buildings. That's the crux of it.
And am I correct that you're gonna, even though we've been approved for some of this stuff, site plan approval, that's gonna be exempt from that too? Or I don't, maybe that's not the right word. That's gonna be part of that too?
This is a work in progress for the council and for the zoning, and that's why we're scheduling the public hearing on the 25th to hear everyone's side at that time. And that's when everyone can voice their opinions on either side of the issue, whatever you're thinking or whatever anyone from the community.
So are you denying my work session?
I'm not sure what the work session will be for. I mean, outside of,
So you know, when you go to that meeting, you know your side of what's going on. We don't know nothing.
I guess I'm not sure what you are looking to know. I just laid it out in one simple phrase that this is what we heard from the citizens of Castle.
I don't know that.
Okay.
I
Well, it
don't know
doesn't,
nothing.
I guess what I'm saying, Joel, is it doesn't require a work session. I don't think it requires a work session at this point.
What would you want, what specifically would you want to get out of this?
Well, okay, so I brought my plan to council. And we hashed out and about with me of what I was doing, where I was doing. Signed on wheel. Okay? Now, the city's saying they're getting some pushback, okay? I don't know that. I'm assuming it, okay? Other than you telling me this right now, I'm assuming it. Okay?
Okay.
So maybe there's room. Maybe there's room to work things out a little different. Maybe if we knew what was going on, maybe there'd be some, I don't want to use the word negotiations, but we're done. A lot of your meetings are done behind closed doors. before they even get to the part.
Yeah.
We don't do anything behind closed doors. Let's be honest about this. We are transparent.
Was
Just
I
let me
invited?
finish. We are as transparent as it comes. To tell us that we do things behind closed doors, it's a flat out lie.
Was I invited to the work session for this?
You
Do
don't
we have a work session for it? We did.
It's a public work, it's a public.
Planning and zoning, it's public.
So out of the blue, you decided to put this on the agenda to change with no work session.
Was it published?
Yeah, it was
It was
published.
published
Planning
24
and
hours in
zoning.
advance. So to tell us we're doing this behind closed doors is ridiculous.
So did you have work sessions about this?
No.
No work session.
We had one a few months ago that we brought it up.
So all your information, I should be able to pull up in a public hearing and read every comment of somebody that had put into this.
At
So
a
you
public
did-
hearing,
you did
it
have
was
a
not
pub-
ever, no, we did not hold a public hearing. We had work sessions.
So in your work sessions, you discussed it.
We did a few months ago, and that was the decision that we were getting feedback from the community. Planning and zoning, we were getting feedback.
Did you get any feedback from us?
Well, I think that was pretty evident April 2021 when everybody showed up. when there was a public.
I know, but so when you say that you didn't do this behind closed doors, now you're saying that you have.
No, not at all. Every
Absolutely
meeting we have has been.
I'm just trying to, I'm trying to put face to this so that we can negotiate, or we can work this out.
Well, it's not
I
going
read-
to negotiate very well. Tell us we're doing stuff behind closed doors. Tell you that right now.
So did you or did you not have a work session
Specifically geared towards this?
discussing the ordinance change of this ordinance?
And at work sessions, we are allowed to talk about anything.
Correct.
So it came up because we had a council meeting, we had several people that were
Well,
very
that's what-
upset, can I finish? That were very upset about more apartments being built. In fact, I think we had 35 or 36 people from the community in the council chambers that night that were dead set against it. So that got the conversation started with council. Planning and zoning agreed that they didn't want any more apartments. And at that point, every meeting that we have had has been posted
So-
24 hours before the meeting.
So when you say more apartments, I just stuck the shovel on the ground
Right, but you,
today,
right,
and I'm being shut down.
Not from that one, you have a permit for that, right?
When we get to that, I'll wait.
Well, let's wrap through this, because I don't want to just drag this out into,
Well,
I mean, you obviously have an agenda that you brought with you, right? To stick into our agenda, right?
no, to seek information about,
Okay, but then we give you information and then you throw it back in our face.
about what did I throw back in your
You
face?
said we're having meetings behind closed doors, and no one has said that.
So there's no closed session?
No,
You're saying,
you've had 3 people tell you that already, Joe. Why do you keep saying it?
okay,
Why do you keep asking the question?
so I can go back and.
Yeah,
look to
yeah,
see.
you can go back through all the meetings. You can go back to the one where there was 36 people. You can go back to the one where we had the public hearing about this. And you were there and all the people were there complaining about
Okay, so can I talk about the permit for a minute?
it. Sure.
So, question, am I done today? Because this is vague. So this says, so I have 2 permits pulled. Well, today we pulled for the garage.
for the garage, yeah, you're good there.
So I have 1, I have 2, and I can't pull any more.
Right, because
If you approve this tonight.
if,
We're not approving anything tonight. It's a public hearing.
No,
We're approving a public hearing.
what is this?
Set a date for.
We're setting a date for a public hearing.
On that proposed moratorium.
So the more.
That's different than the zoning change.
Agreed.
and we'll get there, so we just need to set the date. for the
Okay,
public
Yeah,
hearing.
So this is not,
we're gonna, let's hold on to that.
okay,
And we're gonna set the date.
and I'm okay. If you deny me, you deny me, I'm okay with that. It's all, I'm asking.
All right, so let's go ahead and set the date, public hearing amendment zoning code of ordinance. Request of April 20th.
Oh, sorry.
Brian, I.
Thanks, yeah.
Justin, I.
Motion carries. Moving on to resolution approving moratorium on issuance of building permits for townhouses, multiple family dwellings, apartment, and or boarding or lodging houses in R3, C1, C2 zoning districts in the city of Gaston.
This was a recommendation from our city attorney, as he had done this in another community, as there was issues with a certain zoning, and they wanted to slow things down so that it could get through planning and zoning, it can get through a public hearing, and it can get back to council for a decision. This is a temporary moratorium. This is not a permanent one. This is just in place until we get through this public hearing process, back to council for them to make a decision.
That answer your question?
So as of today, if you approve this, it'll be froze when we walk out this door.
You will not be able to get an answer on it right now. Until this is further discussed.
Okay,
For new
so if I have contracts on this, what do I do with all of the other buildings? I have contracts signed. What do I do?
Well, you're not going to be able to do anything with that moratorium in place.
That's what I'm saying. And we can break this down a little bit. You know, I've got a half lot, half done. I mean, I guess the question I would ask for this, can I have my other 3 buildings finished the lot?
I think
And
that's
then
something
we
we would
would-
have to discuss.
Right.
Because I do have contracts for these other buildings.
You have permits for 2 buildings.
I have two permits for 2 buildings and 2 garages, which these garages are also part of the other buildings that I don't have permits on. So I guess what I'm asking tonight, okay, I understand where you're coming from this, and I'm okay going through the process. But can I at least get the other 3 building permits to finish this lot? Because this could take, unless you have a date.
We hope to be through it on the 25th after the public hearing. Then council has every right to pass an ordinance that night, suspend the rules, waive the second and third reading. And it can be adopted either way, that, everything's going to be removed. That's the march that we're going to take forward. Or we can release the moratorium and continue building the apartments.
Okay, and I'm okay with that. I am. The 25th is not far away. Just be sensitive to the contracts that I have signed.
Okay.
For those other, and we have semi-loads of product on these buildings.
And there is in the zoning, an allowance that the council can work on an individual basis.
Right, I don't have product bought for the next 3 lots. Right. It's not an issue, we got time, but this one's a different story.
We understand
The
that.
lot one, agreement. And what the site plan that has been approved.
Yes. Yeah. I'm trying to wrap up with Joel. Yes, go ahead.
Yep.
Could you identify you?
Yep, my name is Nate Riley. I'm an attorney with Clemens Law Firm. I'm here on behalf of Thunder Valley Residences. We share some of the same concerns as Joel has. One of my questions is, in this moratorium, it talks about the study being completed. Do you anticipate any kind of study being done? And if so, what's the timeline on that? And what are we looking for from that study?
I think the study is more research on our behalf.
Okay, so it's more of an internal thing. You're not hiring
Yeah,
someone to do
because
it.
I've already reached out to ECIA to look for demographic information based on ratios, apartments versus population, to kind of give the folks here some more information to make that decision.
Okay, all right. Obviously, these guys have invested a ton of money in these places based on the current allowances with Whitestone. And a change now would have a major negative impact on their livelihoods, right? I think you guys are all aware of that. And, so I think if we've got 2 weeks to sort that out, we've got public hearing coming up in 2 weeks. Okay, then I guess we'll talk about it at that point. I do agree. I think a workshop might not hurt, or having a work session might not hurt, just so, we can get some of this stuff out in advance to try to maybe collaborate a little bit with this. So everybody's on the same page before that 25th. But no, that's the call on that.
We'll discuss that. I'm not ready to set them.
Sure.
And, motion to approve the resolution.
My motion for the resolution, public hearing call.
Moving on to the moratorium. I make a motion to approve the moratorium on issues of apartments and boarding garages. I'll second. Brian.
Lexi,
Justin, no.
Jerry. Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to ordinance amending title 6 physical environment, chapter 5 utility billing charges, and sewer section 659. System where garbage tags are sold throughout. Yes. We talked about this in the work session, about not having to list every place to get the. So it opens it up to other areas to set.
Open night.
Yeah.
Basically, we don't have to continue on.
The changes to add it.
Correct. It's more of a housekeeping issue. Every time that somebody wants to sell the garbage tags, we have to go back and amend the ordinance.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance title 6 physical environment, chapter 5 utilities.
Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
Or Mayor, I'd like to ask that the second and third reading be waived so that we can implement this.
Make a motion to waive the second and third readings. Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
Motion carries and motion to approve.
Adopt, yeah.
Motion to approve.
Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
Motion carries. Resolution requiring written request for city of Gallatin incentives.
This was another document that we discussed at the work session. I think it's a good policy to have in place.
Motion to approve resolution requiring written request for city of Gallatin incentives.
I'll second the motion. Brian,
Lexi, I.
I. Justin, I.
Motion carries. Resolution. We're not going to discuss.
Correct, no action.
No action. All right, any other citizen comment at this time?
I only, one thing, I apologize. I don't mean,
Okay.
I don't mean to come over.
We understand. It's your
I
life.
know, it's just, this is, I apologize. I don't mean it.
Thank you,
I don't mean it any other way than trying to work with the city.
Joe.
Thank you. It's the only place that,
All right, thank you.
unless you change your mind.
All right, I'll let you know. Any other comment? Mr. Adjourn?
Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
Motion carries.
Justin? What did you say?